an amendment be read a second time. As a social democrat myself, one of the things that I always associate with is how the benefits of government and the powers that were exercised, how they trickle down to the most vulnerable. Mr. President and my dear colleagues, we all know that unfortunately, by the development of our systems, we are not yet, unfortunately, at a level where the vulnerable people have some kind of social security. There's no social security in our country. And that is why I commend any day the introduction of this policy by which vulnerable members of our society, faces who may have no voice, are remembered. And no matter how little their government and their leaders show that they matter. But I am not in support that we rush the passage of this legislation here and now. I take cognizance of the remarks Mr. President made. It is important, yes, but we need to take time to do it properly. I don't think that anyone here on either side is opposed in principle to an amendment of this legislation. No one is also opposed to the continuation of this policy. But Mr. President, if we must do something, we must do it well, we must do it rightly. I align myself with the thinking that this amendment has been sought, even though it's not an executive bill. What we see here, at least what is before me, is a private members' bill sponsored by our respected Senate leader. But I concur with the amendment. There are issues that we must use this opportunity to critically address and streamline properly. As a former president of the Senate, rightly, in my view, said, for example, can't we take advantage of this amendment now to streamline how the vulnerable people in this country who are going to benefit from this are captured? Because that has been a major concern. We saw trader money, we saw COVID-19 loan support, we saw all kinds of things in all kinds of ways under different designations, but all spending money, and a number of them without even parliamentary approval, which is highly, highly condemnable, which is why this has to be supported. But let us take time, pass it, so that at the committee level, and it can be speeded up. We can fast track it, but the process has to be followed. Let us even know what are the details of these sections that we are trying to amend. What are the other initiatives? We will be interested in how this body is done in a way that it is spread along every local government and every state, how we create an institution that can maybe with time evolve to have some kind of social security kind of thing. So let's do it properly. So I support that this bill be read a second time. I support that we refer it to the appropriate committees where proper input, both from this parliament and other stakeholders, can be sought. For me, it's immaterial whether we are removing it from a ministry, which is under the president's directive, because every minister is an agent of the president, or we are taking it directly because of the president's passion, which is commendable, right there to the villa. To me, it's one and the same thing. So that's not what I am looking at. That's not what is important. I think that for the benefit of this country, particularly for the benefit of the vulnerable millions of people who will depend on the decisions we will make, I support that we make this amendment properly. Thank you very much.
Well, distinguished Senator Dixon, I suspect that we can't go into immediate amendment until we've subjected the bill to serious scrutiny in the committee of the whole, and then copies of the current bill or current act must be distributed to all senators so that we look at even the sections that we are going to amend. So it's not something that we rush, like somebody pointed out. Distinguished Senator Obey, I think the issues are very clear. We read the bill for the second time, and then, of course, we now subject it to the scrutiny of the Senate. Like distinguished Senator Lawan pointed out, if there was something we did not put before that made it impossible for you to supervise, we should put it now. And again, there were complaints out there in the public that even the social register, people did not even know. And then there was also the question of who are the beneficiaries. And they said they are too poor to be named. Every single beneficiary of government patronage, every beneficiary of government patronage would be very proud to be named in various communities that, yes, indeed, government recognizes me and government has seen my plight. And the person will go to church, will go to the mosque to go and pray for government and be thankful to government. But what I used to read was that they were too poor to be named and that it might lead to stigmatization. And the senators, I don't think you have forgotten that I have about 11 petitions on this issue. So, yes, I have about 11 petitions on this issue. So, it will still be need for us to look at what was done. There will still be need for us to look at what was done because government is a continuum. So, I want to thank all of you for your contributions, and I want to put the question. Is it the view of the Senate that this bill be read for the second time? Those in support say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the National Social Investment Program Agency 2023 and for other matters connected with 2023. Second reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the National Social Investment Program Agency Act 2023 and for other matters connected therewith 2023. Second reading taken. The Senate Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Mr. President, let me inform that those in charge have been directed to ensure that copies of this proposed amendment bill gets to every senator today. And all that is being amended, all those sections, is just to substitute the word president for where we have honorable minister. But if they now feel that we need to do beyond that, they can also come up with specific, but that is the whole essence of this. Thank you, sir. Mr. President, distinguished senators, in compliance with Senate Rule 80 sub 1 of the Senate Standing Orders 2022 as amended, I move that the bill be referred to the Committee of the Whole. I so move.
Read Senate Rule 81.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Rule 80, sub 1. When a bill has been read the second time, it shall stand committed to a standing committee unless the Senate, on motion, made committee to the committee of the whole Senate. Such motion shall not require notice, but must be made immediately after the bill is read a second time, and must be proposed by the leader of the Senate. Bills committed to standing committees shall be allocated to a particular committee by the President of the Senate, whose discretion in this matter is final.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President of the Senate and dear colleagues. My name remains Darlington Nwokocha. I speak for the entire Nigeria, but Abia Central in particular. Mr. Senate President, I rise to second the motion as ably moved by the Majority Leader. I hereby second.
Distinguished colleagues, the Minority Leader, coming under Rule 80, sub 1, has moved a motion that this bill be read, be referred to the Committee of the Whole, and has been seconded by the Minority Leader. Those who are in support of this motion say aye, and those who are against say nay. The ayes have it. So the bill is referred to the Committee of the Whole. The Rules and Business Committee will now schedule the bill for consideration in the Committee of the Whole, but in our next legislative day. I believe this decision will allow us to have copies of the bill sought to be amended, and also all other relevant documents to guide all of us. So that decision is taken. Copies of the bill are being distributed. But we are not taking it today. Okay. All right. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the second order of the day is a House bill for concurrence, as listed on the order paper. Distinguished senators will recall that this bill was read the first time in this chamber on Monday, 7th August 2023. Mr. President, for the simple nature of the bill and interchamber reciprocity, I will present a lead debate on the bill. I so request, Mr. President.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President of the Senate and dear colleagues. My name remains Darlington Nwokocha. I speak for the entire Nigeria, but Abia Central in particular. I rise to second the motion as ably moved by the Majority Leader. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the leader has moved and the Minority Leader has seconded. Those who are in support of this say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. You may proceed.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, lead debate on a bill for concurrence from the House of Representatives. The Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria Act Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2023 was read for the first time on 7th August 2023. This bill seeks to strengthen the legal and institutional framework for the operation, maintenance, and control of subsidiaries and ordnance factories for the manufacture, storage, and disposal of ordnance and ancillary stores and material and regulate in local production of weapons and other equipment to meet the requirement of the Nigerian Armed Forces and other security agencies. Mr. President, my respective colleagues, this is a straightforward and not controversial bill which has gone through the necessary legislative process in the House of Representatives and was passed by the 9th Senate. I therefore urge you all to support the second reading of this bill as we refer it to the Committee of the Whole for clause-by-clause consideration. I thank you, Mr. President, and distinguished colleagues.
Yes. Any contribution? Yes, distinguished Senator Onaiwo.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. My name is Senator Mohammed Ogoshi Onao. I represent Nasarawa South. This bill, as the majority leader said, is an important bill. Very, very important for the protection of lives and property of our citizens. However, I want to plead that since 7th of August, over 2 months now when this bill was read for the first time, this Senate is just receiving a 19-page document which requires us to read, understand each of the clauses before we pass. Any time we pass any bill in this Senate, it is my wish, and I believe the sincere wish of every senator seated here or in this chamber, that that bill stands the test of time. And so I would want to request that the Senate President stands this bill to be read clause by clause on the next legislative day to enable each member of this Senate to read properly and understand. Because if I just read this bill and pass it, my conscience will haunt me if anything goes wrong. Thank you very much.
Distinguished Senator Onaiwo, I can see that your conscience is really troubling you today. Distinguished Senator Ome.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Senator Victor Ume, OFR. I represent the people of Anambra Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, this Nigerian Defense Industrial Corporation is a very important corporation in this country. I recall that in 2018, Senator Kyari, now Minister for Agriculture, introduced a similar bill in the Senate. And we discussed it very exhaustively, that the NDIC is supposed to be alive to its responsibilities for its establishment a long time ago. This corporation ought to be producing for us now weapons of defense and other armaments the country will need to become a strong and virile nation. If they had been doing their work, Mr. President, they would have been able to support us with what we use to fight insecurity in Nigeria. The NDIC has been sleeping over its mandate. And now that the House of Representatives has worked on a way of reinvigorating the corporation to ensure that it will deliver on its core mandates, it is important that we support the House of Reps and give them the necessary concurrence. But like Senator Onawo stated in his contribution, this clause-by-clause consideration will be hampered by shortness of time to appreciate what they have done in the House of Reps, to enable us for an opportune time put the NDIC to its proper frame and focus so that it can help this country in developing our own weapons and armaments. This insecurity that's dotting the country everywhere. If NDIC had been doing their job, I'm sure that would have been able to have things to use to fight insecurity. I also contributed previously that the type of thing we're expecting from NDIC will be missiles. They can develop missiles. They can do that. So if it is possible, President, to give us more time to look at the arrangement of these clauses and see if there's anything we can do to make it more effective. Very good. But if we can go on today, I'm still ready too. Thank you, Mr. President.
Yes. Senator Falahunsi.
Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Francis Adefadansi, representing the good people of Osun East. Yes. Defense industry of Nigeria was established 1963, along with defense industry of India, China, Brazil, and including Pakistan. Today, those people are in the moon. They are manufacturing aircraft weapons. Today, Nigeria defense industry fell into almost oblivion of manufacturing furnitures before President Obasanjo came on board. Now, they have started manufacturing little by little. Now that we are having some defense problems, security serious problem, we need to visit that place, sit down the Minister of Defense, the defense chiefs, and let us know what are their problems that they are still crawling for almost 50 years ago. It is a very important motion that we have to look at it instead of importing ordinary bullets from South Africa. Mr. President, let us be serious about this defense industry so that at least they can match with others in the world. Thank you.
Distinguished colleagues, this bill is for concurrence. I believe strongly that the exhaustive job has been done by the House of Representatives during the debate. And it is the practice of the Senate that we ensure reciprocity. Because as we also pass our bills here, we go through all due processes. And when we send it to them, they don't need to send it to too much scrutiny. They just go into clause by clause to see what we have done. So I will put the question. Those in favor that this bill be read, these bills be read for a second time, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to repeal the Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria Act, Cap D4, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and reenact the Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria Bill 2023 to operate, maintain, and control subsidiaries and ordnance factories for the manufacture, storage, and disposal of ordnance and ancillary stores and materials, provide a comprehensive framework for the regulation of the manufacture, distribution, storage, and disposal of defense articles, support research activities in defense-related fields, and for related matters 2023. Second reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to repeal the Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria Act, Cap V4 Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2024. 2004, and reenact the Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria Bill 2023 to operate, maintain, and control subsidiaries and ordnance factories for the manufacture, storage, and disposal of ordnance and ancillary stores and materials, provide a comprehensive framework for the regulation of the manufacture, distribution, storage, and disposal of defense articles, support research activities in defense-related fields, and for related matters, 2023. Second reading taken. The Senate Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, in accordance with Order 79, Sub 1, I will move a motion for the bill to be referred to the Committee of the Whole.
Read 79(1).
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Order 79, subsection 1. On the order for the second reading of a bill being read, a motion may be made that the bill be now read a second time, and a debate may arise.
Mr. President of the Senate and dear colleagues, my name remains Darlington Nwokocha. I speak for the entire Nigeria, but Abia Central in particular. I rise to second the motion ably moved by the majority leader. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in support of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate will now dissolve into a committee of the whole to consider the bill clause by clause.
Clause 1, Clause 2, Clause 3, Clause 4. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say nays. The ayes have it. Clause 5, clause 6, clause 7, clause 8. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 9, clause 10, clause 11, clause 12, clause 13. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 18, 19, 20, 21. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 22, 23, 24, and 25, 26. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, and 46. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. 47, 48, and 49. 49, 50. And explanatory note. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk. And explanatory note, it has been passed. It's a Senate leader.
Mr. President, sitting as chair. Mr. President, sitting as chair, I rise to move that the Senate resolve back to our plenary to enable the chair report progress.
The minority leader.
President, as chair, dear colleagues, my name remains Darlington Wokocha. I speak for the entire Nigeria, but Abia Central in particular. As Senate President, I move that you go back to the seat to report progress accordingly.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded. At this, Senate do revert to plenary to report progress. Those who are in support of this motion say aye, and those who are against say nay. The ayes have it. We revert to plenary to report progress. Distinguished colleagues, the Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria Act Amendment Bill 2023 and approved as follows. Long title, as recommended. Number of clauses 1 to 47 as recommended. Interpretation clause 48 as recommended. Short title clause 49 as recommended. Schedule 1 as recommended. Explanatory memorandum as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Senator Odaiwo is at war. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, I move that the bill be now read the third time.
Thank you, Mr. President of the Senate and dear colleagues. My name remains Darlington Wokocha. I support the motion ably moved by majority leader and hereby second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded. Those who are in support of the motion say aye. Those who are against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to repeal the Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria Act, Cap D4, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and reenact the Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria Bill 2023 to operate, maintain, and control subsidiaries and ordnance factories for the manufacture, storage, and disposal of ordnance and ancillary stores and materials, provide a comprehensive framework for the regulation of the manufacture, distribution, storage, and disposal of defense articles, support research activities in defense-related fields, and for related matters 2023, third reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to repeal the Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria Act, Cap D4, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and reenact the Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria Bill 2023 to operate, maintain, and control subsidiaries and ordnance factories for the manufacture, storage, and disposal of ordnance and ancillary stores and materials, provide a comprehensive framework for the regulation of the manufacture, distribution, storage, and disposal of defense articles, support research activities in defense-related fields, and for related matters therewith. 2023. Third reading taken and passed. Senate Leader.
Mr. President, the third order of the day is a motion standing in the name of Senator Ned Munir Nwoko and two others on the need to investigate the incessant and nefarious act of crude oil thefts in the Niger Delta and the actors. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Ned Munir Nwoko to move the motion.
Distinguished Senator Ned Nwoko.
Thank you, Mr. President, and my distinguished colleagues. This bill, this motion has been listed and stood down a few times, I must say. I must also say that I represent 9 local government areas. My senatorial district is made up of 9 local government areas. And out of the 9 local government areas, 5 of them are oil and gas producing. So this is a very important motion for not just my senatorial district, but for Delta and by extension, Niger Delta. For Nigeria. And Nigeria, of course, yes. So the motion is being co-sponsored by Senator Ede Dafinone, Delta Central, and Senator Joel Thomas, Delta South. Mr. President, the motion is for urgent need to investigate the incessant and nefarious acts of crude oil thefts in the Niger Delta and the actors. The Senate notes that Nigeria is largely dependent on crude oil for its economic growth and development. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, the oil sector contributed 6.33% of the nation's GDP, which translates to 45.6 billion in 2022. The Senate also notes that the oil sector in Nigeria plays a pivotal role in providing employment opportunities for millions of Nigerian citizens and accounts for 70% of its budget financing, while oil and gas made up of 90% of export income and 85% of government revenue in the first quarter of 2022. Further notes that statistical data which have been reported over the years, even till date, have shown that oil bunkering has brought Nigeria into serious socio-economic crisis, and this remains an intractable challenge to the Nigerian oil-dependent economy. Aware that crude oil thefts started at about the late 1970s and early 1980s under the military regime. Also aware that the current collaborative efforts involving the Joint Task Force of the Nigerian military, operations like Operation Delta Safe, Operation Dakatada Barawo, along with the contributions of various security entities, states and local governments, and international oil companies, IOCs, in the Niger Delta region have yielded positive results. These efforts have led to an increase in oil production, reaching 1.51 million barrels per day in the first quarter of 2023. This figure marks an improvement from the 1.49 million barrels per day recorded in the same quarter of 2022, and is notably higher than the production volume of 1.34 billion barrels per day in the fourth quarter of 2022. Observes that despite the efforts of certain military personnel and security agencies like the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps and DSS in combating oil theft in the Niger Delta region, there are individuals within these institutions who engage in illicit activities. These individuals collaborate with unscrupulous figures within the oil industry to undermine the nation's economy. Also observes that it has come to attention that oil theft in Nigeria thrives due to a troubling collaboration between security forces, militia groups, the local population, and certain employees within oil companies. These parties employ sophisticated methods to carry out theft from oil facilities located within the country. Given vast oil and gas reserves, one would expect crude oil production to continuously increase, aligning with OPEC's production quota of 1.74 million barrels per day. Concerned that there have been acquisitions and counter-acquisitions of oil bunkering and various other crimes between the military and local militia groups, these allegations underscore the significant level of sabotage and disruption to the nation's economic backbone. In 2022, it was reported that Nigeria suffered daily losses of approximately 437,000 barrels of crude oil, amounting to a value of 23 million due to criminal activities. Moreover, between March 2023, Nigeria incurred a substantial loss of 65.7 million barrels of crude oil, valued at $83 per barrel, translating to a staggering revenue loss of 2.3 trillion as a result of oil theft. Deeply concerned that the impact of these oil thefts in our oil sector is more substantial than what official reports suggest. While this issue was previously discussed discreetly, it is now gaining prominent and vocal attention. Aware that Section 20 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, with alterations, empowers the state to protect and enhance the environment, as well as safeguard the nation's land. Furthermore, Section 88 of the 1999 Constitution, in conjunction with Order 101 of the Senate Standing Order 2022 as amended, grants the Nigerian Senate the authority to conduct comprehensive investigations into the affairs of individuals or government departments charged with responsibilities, providing them with substantial oversight powers. Worried that the activities of these oil thieves and their collaborators have significantly hampered crude oil production, posing a substantial threat to the nation's economy. Accordingly, resolves to urge the Senate to constitute an ad hoc committee to conduct an investigation into the actions of security forces, militia groups, the local populace, oil company employees, and any individuals or entities suspected to be using sophisticated methods to pilfer oil facilities within the country. Mr. President and colleagues, you hear every day of bunkerings and various vessels being bombed. There are no sacrosanct in this industry. There shouldn't be any. The second, thank you, I will. The second prayer is to mandate the security operatives to utilize advanced technologies such as aerial drones to enhance the security of oil and gas facilities, effectively reducing oil theft and fortifying the country's revenue prospects. 3, call upon the federal and state governments to create a conflict resolution mechanisms involving international oil companies, host communities, and security agencies to address the root cause of oil theft and pipeline vandalism. 4, instruct Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation to engage host communities, local governments and state officials, IOCs, security agencies in collaborative efforts with private securities in the protection of oil pipeline infrastructure, rather than being handled by a few elites in the region. Establish a dedicated special court to handle cases related to oil theft, pipeline vandalism, and associated criminal offenses. Urge the federal government to explore avenues for engaging with modular and oil bunkering operators. And further urge federal government to legalize artisanal refining to enable the production of more refined products at affordable rates for Nigerian citizens. I so move, Mr. President.
Senator Mbiki.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mpigi Baranada. I represent the good people of Rivers Southeast Senatorial District. Mr. President, I'm from Rivers State. Mr. President, I stand here to support this motion, ably moved by distinguished Senator Ned and a concerned citizen of the Niger Delta. Mr. President, if you permit, in supporting this motion, may I create your indulgence for me to contribute one way or the other, Mr. President. Mr. President, the issue of oil theft in the Niger Delta, as elaborated by the mover of this motion, is a very serious issue. It's not just because of economic sabotage that is dwindling our revenue, but it's also affecting our ecosystem, Mr. President. As a Niger Delta person, Mr. President, I can tell you what is actually even happening in Ogoni land today, that the federal government, with the IOCs, are spending billions of dollars for cleanup. It's just as a result of the oil theft and the negligence by most of these vandals within the area. Mr. President, our security agents, their lack of collaboration in the area is one of the major causes of this problem. The civil defense, they are doing theirs. The Navy will be doing their own. The Nigerian Army will be doing their own. Mr. President, let me just say that back at my backyard at home, a Nigerian soldier will be posted down to the pipeline at a point. In less than 2 weeks, the soldier will own a car. I think what they are just doing in that area is a kind of settlement for some security agencies. Mr. President, there should be a proper check. Because if we just sit down and think that, oh, there's pipeline vandalization or there's problem that is happening in terms of oil theft in the area, it has a more than a holistic approach that is concerned. Because this thing flows from up to down. I have taken 2 times to arrest even the security agencies within my area. In less than no time, those security agencies were returned back to the same spot. And they will tell you, be careful. Who is sending them? We don't know. So, Mr. Senate President, this issue of oil theft in the Niger Delta is something that we have to really look at. Mr. President, I wholeheartedly support the motion, and I ask my colleagues that we contribute to look at this thing, because we are actually in a major trouble in the Niger Delta due to lack of collaboration between the security agencies that are supposed to guide this pipeline. Thank you, Mr. President.
The Civil Senator is also.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. My name is Osita Izunaso. I represent the people of Imo West. Let me start by thanking the mover of this motion, Senator Ned Nwoko, for bringing it up. This motion has been lying in our order paper for a very long time, Mr. President, but I'm glad that today we're taking it. Mr. President, when we talk about oil theft, we're giving it a coloration. It is bunkering. It is oil bunkering. Let us not be promoting it to say oil theft. This is what is also known as bunkering. It is a major economic sabotage to our country. And the syndicates, those that are involved in this syndicate, are so many that by the time you unravel it, you'll be scared about the people who are involved in bunkering in Nigeria. It's a very serious matter. So I wouldn't want us to trivialize this matter. This is a matter that we have to also go too deep to begin to unravel who are involved. How are we living like this? Why is this economic sabotage being tolerated over the years? And that brings me up to another issue, because for us to solve the issue of bunkering, it is multifaceted. We have to look at security measures. We have to look at community engagement. We also have to go inward to search ourselves to find out whether we truly want to stop this exercise. Mr. President, it has to be sustainable. It is not something that we do one swap and we leave it and go and face another thing. It is something that once we are serious about stopping bunkering, the programs for bunkering stoppage must be sustainable. It can be ad hoc. Because once you do it ad hoc and go back, the same people come back again because they know what they're benefiting from it. Mr. President, what baffles me is also the fact that these people can refine crude. They also refine crude. That brings me to the point I've made here on this floor before, that to refine crude is not a very difficult thing. Because the people who are doing this bunkering, they also refine crude. They refine the crude and they use it as PMS. So if they can use it on the street, if they can refine crude on the street, then what is the big deal about this crude, about importing PMS again? So these are some of the things that we have to look into. And in my state, where I come from, we want to thank the federal government for also approving the dredging of Uguta Lake to link it up to the Atlantic Ocean. That is also in an attempt to stop bunkering in our area. But by the time the Uguta Lake is dredged fully with naval support, because they're already there, we have a full naval presence now. So that is the Imo State government contributing their own quota towards stopping bunkering in Nigeria. So, no, not even improving, stopping. Because if you dredge the Uguta Lake, if you dredge it and link it up to the Atlantic Ocean, and the naval patrol goes on it, then there will be nothing like bunkering within those nautical miles. So I want to commend the Imo State government for this very big initiative. It has never happened before. And the federal government have approved it, which means that the government is also very sensitive to the plight of people who are suffering from this oil bunkering. Mr. President, I also want to make contribution when we are doing when we're doing the prayers. I would like to contribute. Thank you, Mr. President.
This is Senator Sadiq. This is Senator Buhari.
Thank you, Mr. President. Buhari Abdel Fattah, Oyo North. Mr. President, if you look at this motion, in supporting this motion, if you look at it, there are a lot of salient points he made. He said the bunkering started in 1970. We are in 2023 now, which means that's 53 years ago. Up till now, we've not been able to solve it. He said 2.3 trillion is being stolen every year. That's a lot of money. How much is even the budget of Nigeria? The biggest problem we have in this country, Mr. President, is punitive measure. All these things, there are a lot to it. A colleague of mine now was contributing. He even said at his backyard, he has been arresting people who are bunkering, doing bunkering at his backyard. But nothing has happened. There have not been any punitive measure. And the moment we continue like this, it will just be go day in, day out. It become a lucrative business because nobody is being punished for it. And if we said we don't know, like the sponsor of the motion said, that if you look at the third paragraph, it says further note that statistical data which has been reported over the years, even till date, have shown that pipeline vandalism, oil bunkering have brought Nigeria into serious socio-economic problem. This is true. I remember every year, there's no single year, there's no motion from Niger Delta about oil bunkering. We set up a committee, we have this adult committee. Still, as we are talking now, Mr. President, there's a special committee in the House of Rep on the same issue, bunkering. At the end of the day, nothing happened. Until the day we wake up and do what is called serious punishment, take a decision that this is our country, no matter who is involved. The moment you take that decision, people will sit up. So I remember when we were in the university, when the Tunde Idiagman said, and Buhari, they said, look, don't take cocaine or don't smoke cocaine. If you do it, they are going to kill you. Sir, Ojulope and Bethlehem. They were shot. For a very long time, our name was clean. Our name was a very, very clean name on in the map of the world. But when you look at it now, people laugh at us that you have everything. Day in, day out on the social media, they will say, you guys that have everything that you don't know what to do. Mr. President, in supporting this motion, we need to review our law and make sure there is a punitive measure for people who are trying to sabotage the economy. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Distinguished Senator Davidone.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, my name is Ide Dafinone, and I represent the good people of Delta Central. I'm a co-sponsor of the bill, and I rise to support it and to lay greater emphasis on the need to stop the oil theft. The motion paper emphasized that the first quarter production for this year was at a level of 1.51 million barrels per day. The Nigerian Bureau of Statistics has released the second quarter figures, and the second quarter figures show production at 1.22 million barrels per day. OPEC, early in June, went ahead to reduce our quota to 1.38 million barrels per day from its previous level of 1.742 million barrels per day. Now, OPEC is doing that in order to shore up prices, but our lower levels of production make us an easy target for national quota figures to be reduced. The quota will be renegotiated in November this year, but I remember back 25 years ago where at a production level of 2.2 million barrels per day, the country made significant efforts to extend that quota in order to increase our revenues. The MD of NNPC Limited is on record recently as saying that during COVID, we had the capacity to produce up to 2.1 million barrels per day. Our 2023 budget is based on a benchmark quota of 1.69 million barrels per day, which means that the figures for production for the second quarter are actually at 28% below the budget targets. This gives us a significant impact on the ability to execute capital projects, and therefore, I believe that the figures can be shored up if we are to reduce the level of oil theft, and it would give us a greater opportunity to execute capital projects in the year 2023 and beyond if we're able to pass this motion, support this motion raised by distinguished Senator Ned Nwoko. Thank you very much, sir.
Distinguished Senator Oshomole.
Thank you, Mr. Senate President. My name is Adams Haliu Eric Oshomole, representing the people of Edo North. Let me join my colleagues to appreciate the mover of this motion, Comrade Senator Ned Nwoko, and all those who have contributed. Mr. President, I hope you will accept if I remind you that when we were members of the National Economic Council, during the era of President Goodluck Jonathan, we all condemned in very strong terms what seems to be the incapacity of the Nigerian state to police its waters and protect its assets, particularly oil revenue and oil production. I know, Mr. President, that together we fought such that the then government set up a committee made up of governors to interface with the NNPC authorities, as well as the security chiefs, the army, the navy, etc. On that occasion, as I still believe now, we came to the conclusion that it is impossible for people to cut away hundreds of barrels of oil without being caught. The struggle by officers of the Nigerian Navy to be posted to Eastern Naval Command and be deployed to this area in question, in my view, is an eloquent statement about how lucrative those postings have become. The lobby to become part of the JTF, all of those institutions put in place, security institutions put in place to protect these pipelines, they've all been lost. Mr. President, sir, we are told that billions of naira or dollars are signed in contract to protect and prevent vandalization. What I would suggest is not for us to continue to lament or set up inquiries. My suggestion, Mr. President, is that given the seriousness of this situation, and I will dare say before the new government, each agent gets sucked into the tradition, this is the time to stop it. And what do we do differently? Mr. President, under your leadership, I think the matter is serious enough to invite the Chief of Naval Staff and the Chief of Army Staff and even the Chief of Air Staff, because you can't have big vessels in Nigerian waters for weeks being fed by small vessels, and the oil is scattered away. Like people have said, how many people are in prison? And I want to advise my brother, Senator Izunaso, this idea of showing us pictures as they used to do to us when we started those investigations. They show us drums of people who are involved in illegal bunkering. They show us a couple of drums, etc., etc. I had argued then, and I believe it now, that the combined total of what you can cut away in drums cannot explain 100, 200, 300, 400, 500,000 barrels per day be stolen. It cannot. This is an organized theft. And those involved in this are protected. We need to help this president who, in his campaign, of which we were party to, vowed that everything will be done to defend the Nigerian asset. Like I once had the privilege of addressing Sydney when I was president of the NLC. I think, sir, that in line with what we have done a couple of times when we suspend the rules to allow strangers into the chambers, inviting the Chief of Army Staff, who is new on the job now, and the Chief of Naval Staff, who is also new, and telling them not to continue from where their predecessors stopped. We showed that the matter has gone beyond a committee matter to a matter that the committee of the whole of Senate is interested in. And then interrogate them, listen to them, and thereafter reach some conclusions as to what we need to do differently. Otherwise, Mr. President, it is shameful that so much is stolen, and we borrow so much to provide and cover for what is stolen. The day the state, the armed forces, cannot defend the territorial integrity of Nigeria. It's a sad commentary on the state of affairs of our country. No excuse can be good enough. So I want to thank Mr. Wike, and I want to appreciate you, Mr. President, for allowing many people to comment on this, because our collective future is evolving. So let's do something different to show the armed forces that this matter can be dismissed as this.
Thank you, distinguished Senator Oshimole. I believe strongly that the armed forces are in a position to defend the territorial integrity of this country. Many have paid the supreme price for the country to remain one since 1960. So what we need to do is just to eliminate the bad elements in our midst. And it's also important to know that, of course, the Senator Buhari pointed out that this issue was bunkering simplicity. There are two types of bunkering. You have the legal bunkering, and then you have the illegal bunkering. So it is the illegal bunkering that we are worried about. So the distinguished Senator Issa Jibrin and the distinguished Senator Asuko, you are raising your hands. I think this issue has been exhaustively discussed, and we should move to the next prayers. I don't know, but I'm just suggesting. Is it the view of the Senate that we go into the prayers? So let's go into the prayers. Urge the Senate to conduct to constitute an ad hoc committee to conduct an investigation into the actions of security forces. No, let me make one slight correction here. We were dealing with ad hoc committees a lot when we did not have standing committees. So I think in the course of discussion, we will not go by ad hoc committee. We have standing committees that should do their work and should be encouraged to do their work. So, the distinguished Deputy Senate President, you want to amend prayer 1.
Mr. President, I am Barrow Jibrin Kano North. I stand to move that the prayers so presented here should be carried out if the Senate so wishes under the mandate of the committees that have jurisdiction over the affairs so mentioned in this motion. I so move.
Distinguished Senator Darlington.
Thank you, Mr. Senate President and dear colleagues. My name remains Darlington Nwokocha. I rise to second the motion as had been moved.
Distinguished colleagues, the Deputy Senate President has moved a motion seconded by the Minority Leader that we do consider the prayers here under standing committee instead of ad hoc committee. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So we will now amend it to say urge the standing committees of the Senate on petroleum resources upstream, petroleum resources downstream, the petroleum resources, gas, and of course the host communities and the Ministry of Niger Delta. No, not ministry, and the Committee on Niger Delta. Those 5. So we look at the first item. To conduct an investigation into the actions of security forces, militia groups, the local populace, oil company employees, and any individual or entities suspected to be using sophisticated methods to pilfer our oil resources from the oil facilities within our country. Those in support of the prayer 1 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 2, mandate the security operatives, no. Amendment, yes, Senator Dixon.
Thank you, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, Henry Siraki Dixon, Bayelsa West. Mr. President, considering the importance of this subject matter and in line with the suggestions by the distinguished Senator Oshomole, that to support the new government, the president and his new team, in driving home the seriousness of this menace that has defied all solutions over the years. My amendment, with respect, is that without prejudice to investigations at the committee level, this Senate, sitting in the committee of the whole and in plenary, should invite the security chiefs, the Chief of Defense Staff, who controls the joint operations, the Chief of Naval Staff, the Chief of Army Staff, the customs DG, and all the related, the NNPC itself, so that they can brief these hallowed chambers on the situation of things while the committee can do the detailed investigation. That will underscore the national seriousness that is attached to this, number one, and our willingness to support this agenda. So that's my prayer, sir.
So in other words, the various committees mentioned in their sittings should invite all the security agencies to appear before them as part of the investigation. Yes. So I think I tend to agree with you. But however, if we have to go through, that will come as an additional prayer. But if we have to go through the what is here,
Mr. President, I think since we are giving them the mandate to go ahead, or as prescribed by, since we have given them to go ahead, I think they have now the purview, or they have now the latitude, to call these people and some other people, if they so wish, to deal with the matter. They now have the latitude. They have latitude to do whatever they feel is proper to carry out this very mandate we've given them.
Okay, in that case, distinguished colleagues, without moving emotion, I just want to run through the prayers so that you see what mandate the security operatives to utilize advanced technologies. I think that will come out of the investigation. Call upon the federal government and state government to create conflict resolution mechanisms. I think that will also come out of the investigation. Instruct Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited to engage host communities, local communities. I think from the investigation we will know whether that is necessary. Yes, it will come out of the investigation. Then call for establishment of a dedicated special court. I think that will also come from the investigation. Urge the federal government to explore official avenues for engaging with modular and oil bunkering operators. Oil bunkering operators, is it legal or illegal? I think that will also come out of the investigation. Urge the federal government to explore official avenues. Urge the federal government to legalize artisanal refining. I think again that the investigation will determine whether that is necessary. Therefore, Senate Leader, so you move a motion that prayers 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 be suspended to enable the committee to bring out their report.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I so move.
Distinguished Minority Leader.
I so second, Mr. Senate President.
Distinguished colleagues, a motion has been moved and seconded that prayers 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 should be suspended until the investigative panel set up by the standing committees of the Senate submit their recommendations. Those who are in support say aye. Those who are against say nay. The ayes have it. Yes, distinguished. Let me. Yes, point of order.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I rise under Order 8, subsection 3, and consistent with your desire, Mr. President, that I always read this order. If I have your permission, I read Order 8, sub 3. Thank you. Order 8, sub 3. 3A, 15 minutes before the time appointed for the termination of a sitting, the President of the Senate shall interrupt the business under discussion, and unless an extension of time is moved, its resumption shall be appointed for such day as the senator in charge of such business shall name. Mr. President, I move that we extend our time to be able to see beyond 2 p.m. to enable us to finish the other items that we have on the other paper. I so.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President of the Senate and their colleagues. I rise to second the motion as ably moved. I hereby second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that this Senate do extend its period of sitting beyond 2 p.m. Those who are in support of the motion say aye. Those who are against say nay. The ayes have it. Now let me invite distinguished Senator Ned Nwoko to take a second look at the motion moved and maybe attempt to suspend, to further move to another slide motion to subsume all the prayers hearing into the four or five major standing committees that will look into this issue holistically. That is Committee on Petroleum Resources Upstream, Committee on Petroleum Resources Downstream, Committee on Petroleum Resources Gas, Committee on Host Communities, and also the Committee on Niger Delta. Those five committees will sit together as a team to do a thorough job and do a proper investigation, and thereafter revert to this Senate. And then, so I would suggest that it's been your motion that you should move that in view of the decision not to set up ad hoc committee, but to go by the standing committees of the Senate, and then in a combined fashion for effectiveness, that you do urge that this Senate should subsume these prayers as part of the agenda for the subcommittees to deal with.
Mr. President, this particular motion that you've advised on now has been moved by the Leader of the House. So
it's your motion. Use your mic. It's your motion.
Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, I do move as proposed by the President that prayers 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7 be, sorry, no withdrawn, be investigated by the standing committee. Okay.
Thank you. Any seconder? Senator Plang, what do you do about Niger Delta?
My colleagues, I am a mining engineer, I'm a physicist, a geophysicist, and I'm a member of the Committee on Gas. Mr. President, I rise to support the motion that items 3 to 5 should be allowed for the standing committees to use as reference towards their delegation. I so move.
The Senate committee, the distinguished colleagues, the mover of the motion, the distinguished Senator Ned Nwoko, has moved a motion that prayers 2 to 7 be subsumed into the mandate of the standing committees investigating this oil theft because of the seriousness involved, and seconded by distinguished Senator Plang, a geophysicist and a member of the gas committee. Those who are in support of this motion as moved by distinguished Senator Ned Nwoko say aye, and those against say nay. The ayes have it. Let me especially thank distinguished Senator Ned Nwoko. If we were to discuss this issue of oil theft, it will take us a whole day. The impact is not just on the environment. The impact is not just creating poverty in the system. The impact has even made us to not just the loss of revenue, but even the fact that we were once a robust oil-producing nation, producing up to 2.3 to 2.4 million barrels of crude oil. And now we are looking at 1.2 when the population is doubling. In those days, we were about 100 million, and we're producing 2.4 million barrels. We are now about 240-something million, and we are coming down. So you can see that the activities impact seriously on poverty because the population is not reducing. The number of mouths that we have to feed are increasing, while the resources that we need to feed those mouths are depleting on a daily basis. So I thank you for bringing this to the fore, and I urge the various standing committees working together to ensure that they carry out a very holistic investigation into this and bring out recommendations that are workable, even if we need to tinker with the acts, setting up the various controls in the industry, the NMPC, this, that, anything that we can do, including setting up a special court, setting up a special task force, whatever we need to do to bring this incident to an end. We should do so for the interests of this nation and future generations. So thank you so much, distinguished Senator Ned Nwoko, and I thank our colleagues for your contributions. Leader of the Senate. Leader of the Senate. Leader of the Senate, did we give them time frame within which to revert to the Senate? Huh? Distinguished Senator Darlington, we are suggesting 4 weeks. Is that okay? Yeah. No, it can't be open-ended. No. Let's use up to 2 months because it may need a lot of. Okay, so the leader of the Senate, somebody is suggesting 6 weeks.
Mr. President, 6 weeks will be fine, but where they are not able to conclude their assignment, they can always come back to ask for extension of time.
2 things. So one, the lead committee will be the petroleum upstream. Yeah? Please approach the chair. Please approach the chair. Distinguished colleagues, distinguished colleagues, the 5 committees just constituted now to investigate this oil theft will be headed by the most ranked chairman of any of the 5 committees. And they have 6 weeks. So when you go and sit, you look at when you came into the Senate, and then you know whether you are the chairman or you are not the chairman. I will not choose for you, but the Senate rule has chosen for you. The most ranked chairman of the 5 committee chairmen will head the committee. Leader of the Senate. Yes. Is it amendment or point of order?
You can only do that by substantive motion.
You can come in under point of order.
Point of order.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the 4th order of the day is a motion standing in the name of distinguished Senator Katung Sunday Marshall on the urgent need to address the outbreak of a deadly disease affecting ginger production in southern Kaduna. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Katung Sunday Marshall to move the motion.
Distinguished Senator Marshall. Yes, point of order.
Thank you, SP sir. My name is Senator Ishiaku Abo. I present Adamawa North. Point of order, Mr. President. Senate Standing Order number 41 and number 51. For time's sake, Mr. President, it simply says that matters should not be dispensed with unless you say so. Mr. President, we just finished setting up another committee to investigate a very...
You just pointed out unless I say so.
Yes.
So please, I want to urge you to come by way of a motion for the next state. Substantive motion. Thank you. Distinguished Senator Sunday Marshall. Your seat has changed. Try and speak from your seat first, then you come back there. Speak from your seat. Speak from your seat. That appointment by Darlington has not yet been affirmed by the Senate.
Mr. President, my colleague Sunday Marshall Katung, I represent the people of Kaduna South Senatorial District. I'm from Kaduna State. My motion is on the urgent need to address the outbreak of a deadly disease affecting ginger production in southern Kaduna. The Senate notes that the ginger has been grown in the southern part of Kaduna State since about 1927, and it has steadily increased in its importance as a valuable commodity over the intervening years. The Senate further notes that Kaduna State ranks the highest in ginger production in Nigeria, contributing to Nigeria's place as one of the largest producers of ginger in the world, with a production average of more than 300,000 tons during the 5-year period from 2014 to 2018, and a global market share of about 11%, trailing only India. Cognizant that as a subset of the agricultural sector, ginger production has a significant impact on revenue generation and farmers' income, thereby reducing the rate of poverty amongst the local farmers of southern Kaduna and the country at large. Also cognizant that apart from its revenue-generating potential, the consumption of ginger has many health benefits ranging from the prevention of stomach ulcers, the reduction of nausea and vomiting amongst pregnant women, to chemotherapy treatment for cancer patients. Worried that the 2023 ginger season in southern Kaduna has suffered a significant setback due to an outbreak of fungi pathogens infection, destroying over 2,500 hectares of farmlands estimated at 10 billion naira across 7 local government areas of southern Kaduna, thereby significantly threatening Nigeria's position on the world chart of ginger production. Also worried that this devastating and unprecedented ginger pandemic affects Nigeria's non-oil export performance and is already affecting the lives of many individuals within the affected communities of southern Kaduna because ginger is the source of livelihood. Disturbed about the public health risk of this deadly disease because research has revealed that organisms that affect plants may develop some sort of host jumping with mutation or development of the mechanism switching over to the host and the pathogen that was earlier infecting plants changing and affecting human beings. The Senate accordingly resolves to mandate its Committee on Agricultural Production and Rural Development to interface with the hierarchy of the National Agricultural Quarantine Services and the Supervisory Ministry, the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, towards conducting an immediate on-the-spot assessment tour of all affected areas of the ginger pandemic in southern Kaduna State. Call on the Nigerian Center for Disease Control and Prevention to immediately coordinate surveillance systems to collect, analyze, and interpret data on this disease towards the prevention of further spread of the pythoniosis. Also call on the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to immediately and as a matter of particular urgency provide palliatives to the affected ginger farmers of southern Kaduna whose means of livelihood has been completely crippled by the disease that has destroyed their production of the rhizome. Also make any further directives as deemed expedient in the circumstances. Mr. President, by way of adumbration.
No. Any seconder? Dismissed Senator Babangida.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to second the motion ably moved by Senator Katung on the prevailing condition in ginger production in southern Kaduna. I remain Senator Babangida Hussaini representing Jigawa Northwest. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Any contribution? Yes. Distinguished Senator Zam.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I am Senator Titus Zam. I represent the people of Benue Northwest Senatorial District. Mr. President, I rise to add my voice to the need to protect
producers of ginger in southern Kaduna and to support every effort towards resolving the challenge posed by this disease on ginger production. The irony of this situation in Nigeria is that while some people are talking about oil and gas as a major source of revenue to their own community, other parts of the country have agriculture as their basis of survival economically. So it makes a lot of economic sense for us to also add our weight and support our brothers in Southern Kaduna who are producers of ginger. You know that there is a call for shift now from petrodollar economy to agriculture. So providing this kind of support to agriculturists or farmers of Southern Kaduna would therefore add weight to the shift of this country towards agriculture. And I support this motion in its entirety. Thank you very much, Mr. Senate President, distinguished colleagues. Distinguished Senator Babangida, you wanted to make further contribution.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I wanted to add that Kaduna South and the farmers of Kaduna South are contributing towards the global ginger production. And it is interesting to note that Nigerian ginger is highly rated in the international commodity market, most particularly in the Middle East and the Far East. Efforts have been made to invest in the value chain, the ginger value chain, knowing that the application of ginger in pharmaceutical, food, and nutritional industry is immeasurable. So therefore, I will appreciate that we accord this motion the urgency and the necessity it requires so that the required steps can be taken to salvage the situation. Especially diseases that affect plants are almost likely to transmute and affect human beings, especially in the food value chain. It is on this premise that I want to urge that this motion should be accorded the urgency and the priority it deserves so that the ginger sector will not be hampered, and especially now that the season is coming, our farmers in Kaduna will have cause to smile. Thank you, sir.
Distinguished Senator Kevin.
Thank you, Mr. President, and distinguished colleagues. I rise to support this motion, heavily moved by Senator Masha. My name remains Kelvin Chukwu, representing the good people of Enugu East. Mr. President, Southern Kaduna is the highest producer of ginger in Nigeria, and by extension, the third or the second producer in the whole world. I know that this disease has affected the lives of individuals in the local community. Some people, on hearing about the disease, almost collapsed. If you go to the Southern Kaduna today, a lot of homes have been shattered by this disease because their economy has been affected drastically. So I call upon my distinguished colleagues to support this motion so that this disease can be stopped and and stopped and put to a halt. I so moved.
Thank you, distinguished Carol. Let me hear from distinguished Senator Siako Yaro Anthony.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Anthony Siako Yaro, representing the good people of Gombe South. I rise to support this motion for ginger disease protection. Now, apart from health issues around this very important motion, is also rooted deeply in economic matters. Ginger is one of the products that is meant for export from Nigeria, from Kaduna South, from Nigeria. It's been known historically, and they are very experienced in this production of ginger, one of the highest qualities, like Senator Babangida alluded to that. But the area I'm trying to emphasize has to do with the value of our Naira today. If we improve that sector and export, the moment we earn more foreign exchange, the value of our Naira will be impacted positively. And that's the area I would like that we give serious attention to this motion for this economic benefit. Attached to that, Mr. President, is the disease itself. I think when researching into getting how it came about, let them look at the biological source of that in security, with some security eyes on that. It has not happened before. This is the first time this particular type of disease, but the impact is very, very drastic. So when looking into it, let's let the relevant authorities look deeper into the source of that disease, how it can be controlled, and then eventually that the economy of Kaduna South will be improved, Kaduna State and Nigeria. And my concern will be earning effects to strengthen the size of the Naira and the strength of the Naira. Thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished Senator Darlington.
Thank you, the President of the Senate and their colleagues. My name is Darlington Nwokocha. I speak for the entire Nigeria, but Abia Central in particular. I want to sincerely thank the mover of this motion. But I think I will come from the flank of our budgetary provision. Since we are clamoring for a very serious support for non-oil export promotion, and ginger production is one key area that generates a lot of employment and a lot of funds as well into our society. To what extent are we proactive towards research and development in some of these cash crops, developing it and finding a way that instead of reacting to these kind of situations, we now tend to be more proactive in providing solutions ahead of time. Mr. Senate President, the agric research institutions, if you go through the budget, you find out that the provision, what we provide for those institutions is so infinitesimal, so little to even carry out a particular one little research or the other. I think, thank God, that this motion is coming quite ahead of the time we're expecting to have the national budget. I'm in full support that we should stem off strength of these research institutes so that they can research ahead of time and look into the critical areas and develop the necessary vaccines and medicine to tackle this situation. Then, when it happens, we now react instead of becoming proactive. Therefore, I'm fully in support of this, and I will add an additional prayer when we get to that point to make sure that we support with a lot of budgetary provisions as well.
Thank you, distinguished colleagues. I think we've exhaustively debated this, so we go straight into the prayers. Prayer one. mandate its Committee on Agricultural Production and Rural Development to interface with the hierarchy of the National Agricultural Quarantine Services and its supervisory ministry, the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, towards conducting an immediate on-the-spot assessment tour of all affected areas of the ginger pandemic in Southern Kaduna. Those in support of this prayer, one say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 2, call on the Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention to immediately coordinate surveillance systems to collect, analyze, and interpret data on this disease towards the prevention of further spread or pythanosis. Those in support of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 3, call on the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to immediately and as a matter of particular urgency provide palliatives to the affected ginger farmers of Southern Kaduna, whose means of livelihood have been completely crippled by the disease that has destroyed their production of the rhizome. Those in support of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 4, make any further directives as deemed expedient in the circumstances. Those in support of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Let me quickly thank our brother for a very beautifully worded motion that he has just presented. And to say that the Distinguished Senator Khartoum Sunday Marshall, some of the acronyms and wordings that you use were very, very professional. And the prayers were well couched. It's something we must take seriously, and the clerk of the Senate will communicate the decisions of this Senate to the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and all relevant agencies to look into this issue and tackle the issue effectively, particularly to preempt future occurrences. And then, of course, it's also important to ameliorate the sufferings of the farmers. That's why it's important. That's why I said the prayer was well couched, so that NEMA can also move in there and provide palliatives to them because of the fact that they've lost their means of livelihood due to this disease. Thank you, my colleagues, also for your contributions. Senate Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the fifth order of the day is a motion standing in the name of distinguished Senator Musa Mohammed Sani on the urgent need for the federal government to deploy troops and other security apparatus to immediately bring an end to the menace of insurgency and terrorism in Niger State and other parts of Nigeria. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Musa Mohammed Sani to move the motion.
Distinguished Senator Sani Musa.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished colleagues, I'm Mohammed Sani Musa, representing Niger East Senatorial District. I'm coming with a motion for an urgent need for the federal government to deploy troops and other security apparatus to immediately bring an end to the menace of insurgency and terrorism in Niger State and other parts of Nigeria. We have taken it so many times, but from the content of my motion, you will see the reason why I have to bring it back. Your Excellency, note that this Senate has passed several resolutions, set up ad hoc committee on security, held national security summits, and declared every effort, every support at bringing an end to the persistent insecurity in our nation. We have appropriated budget and also advances numerous steps to support our nation's security agencies, yet insecurity has continued to elude the nation. Further note that negative effects of atrocities committed by these heartless monsters in the period under review include, among others, total collapse of local economies of the affected victims, total collapse of educational system in the affected areas, famine due to collapse of agricultural activities, displacement, social vices such as drug abuse and thuggery emanating from struggle for survival, trauma arising from serial rapes and inhuman, cruel, and deadly subjugations. Cognizance that since the artisanal and small-scale gold and lithium mining started a decade in Niger State and some adjoining states, these prospects are undermined by criminals who profiteer from the sector at the expense of vulnerable population and have made peace to elude us. Aware that collaboration between politically connected Nigerians, unpatriotic security personnel, Chinese citizens who are mostly illegal aliens, and other foreigners in illegal gold mining drives rural banditry and violent local conflicts in the aforementioned areas and other parts of Nigeria. Furthermore, the activities of these non-state actors has led to not fewer than 48 communities across the 3 local government areas of Shiroro, Brafi, and Munya in the Niger East Senatorial District to have so far fallen under the control of these bandits. With more than 5,800 villagers already displaced. Nigeria having 8 army divisions, and despite the large landmass of Niger State, which is larger than the entire southeast, yet the state and the entire north-central region do not have an army division that will have helped in curbing the menace of the criminals that have continued to kidnap, kill, and execute innocent people in the most barbaric manner, to the extent that the military camps in these areas have been sacked and some security personnel killed by the insurgents in the last few months of renewed attacks. Aware also that many primary schools have been turned to IDP camps in the affected areas following the sacking of these villages from their ancestral homes in Shiroro, Rafi, and Munya local governments areas since the beginning of this act of terror by the bandits. Recall that Madaka Gari, Maikujeri, Magami, Zungeru, Basa, Gusoro, Galadima, Nkogo, Koki, and Koki villages were all attacked with casualties as more than 46 people were killed, which also included 25 gallant soldiers, mobile policemen, and other security personnel. Many civilians were killed recently, many others unaccounted, with over 2,300 displaced, more people displaced. The number of persons said to have been killed by bandits in Niger East and Niger State are over 475 between January 2020 to date. Aware that the federal government have made frantic efforts to curb the menace through various operations to tackle cases of terrorism, banditry, and cattle rustling and kidnapping across Nigeria, but yet the expected return of peace in our land is unattainable. But the assurance given by His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, with the appointment of new sets of armed forces and police service chiefs, and the procurement of arsenals and equipment, and also the review of the nation's security architecture, hope is being renewed. Further aware that an estimated 80% of mining in the northwest and north central regions are carried out illegally on an artisanal basis by local and illegal aliens population. There exists an implosion of illegal miners mining and exploiting the large untapped mineral deposits in the area, especially gold, which has strategic importance and economic value. And most recently, the discovery of lithium can be said to be at the root of those heinous community violence. Worried that the continuous security challenges and related attacks by terrorists on towns, villages, and communities in Niger State have meted untold hardship on the people and has subjected the affected areas under serious survival threats. Despite the government's ban of artisanal gold and lithium mining in Niger State and other locations, the ban yielded few results. Illegal mining and its associated conflicts continued regardless, due to the complicity of the state actors and the non-state actors. Aware that illegal mining leads to violent local conflicts in two ways. First, those funding the mining fight over control of the mine fields. These sponsors are protected by some state actors, and they act as if they are above the law. Some of the sponsors of illegal mining in our domains are always undermining the activities of the state, showing the level of political connectedness and state protection they enjoy. Second, those who sponsor illegal mining also found banditry and cattle rustling in mining communities in order to incite violence among cattle breeders and rearers, hence giving the criminal bandits the support to launch predetermined attacks and acting under conditions determined by the sponsors. Mr. President, concerned that if this menace is not drastically addressed, the attacks will continue, and the danger is that it may escalate further to other communities and will negatively affect the food security initiative and economic diversification policy of the federal government. Senate results: 1. Direct the joint committees on Army, Air Force, Police, and solid minerals to investigate the complicities of the security personnel and agencies that were supposed to protect and enforce security in the affected areas, but are harboring and protecting the criminals, with a view to finding the truth or otherwise of such accusations and prepare possible actions to avert future reoccurrence. 2. Call on the Chief of Defense Staff, the Chief of Army Staff, and the Inspector General of Police to immediately ensure the deployment of troops and equipment to the affected territories to defend the unarmed populace and bring back security to the affected communities. 3. Direct the Ministry of Solid Minerals Development to suspend all mining licenses and commence review of such permits with a view to registering and creating a database of artificial mineral miners, establishing mineral buying centers and outlets, and registering of small-scale mining operators, as this will go a long way in formalizing artisanal miners' activities and reduce the acts of sponsoring criminality. 4. Urge the Chief of Army Staff and the Inspector General of Police to, as a matter of urgency, direct for the establishment of an Army Infantry Division in the state, a permanent military and police command bases respectively at the axis adjoining Zamfara State, Shiroro, and Rafi local government areas respectively, and to redesign the modus of operandi of the military operations within the affected areas. 4. Direct the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and NEMA to, as a matter of national emergency, provide relief materials and medical support team to the victims immediately. 5. Call on the Senate to observe a minute silence for all the victims of these callous acts of criminality. Thank you, Mr. President.
Dismissed Senator Abamoro.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished colleagues, my name is Abamoro. I represent the very good people of the Benue South Senatorial District. Mr. President, I rise to second this motion of urgent national importance moved by my colleague and brother, Senator Sani Musa, on the issue of insecurity and the need for Nigeria to be proactive in tackling the menace. So, Mr. President, I will ask that you allow me to make a few comments, having seconded this very important motion. Mr. President, you will recall that on several occasions in this Senate, we have debated on and on this issue of insecurity across the country. And in recent times, Niger State, excuse me, Niger State has received a very serious attention in Nigeria because of threats to lives and property and death occasioned by attacks by hoodlums and bandits. Mr. President, I recall also that in the 9th Senate, the Senate had actually set up an ad hoc committee to review the security architecture of Nigeria with a view to ensuring that we put in place adequate security measures to contain the menace or the myriad of security challenges that face the country. And so coming at this time and allowed by this Senate, by your indulgence, I think, Mr. President, is a welcome development to also remind all of us here that we are still faced with this challenge of insecurity across the country and that lives are continuing to be lost. And so, Mr. President, I think that we need to review all the interventions that have been made by the Senate, both in the 9th Senate and in recent times by this Senate, with a view to bringing out appropriate measures that are proactive enough to contain the insecurity across the country, and especially, as mentioned by my brother here in his motion, Niger State. Mr. President, at a point in the 9th Senate, the Senate was characterized by 1 minute silence, and it became the vogue. And we felt ashamed and felt indicted that we would not be celebrating where measures had been in place to forestall attacks on communities. And so, Mr. President, my prayer in support of this motion, therefore, is that this Senate, this 10th Senate, will devise means through legislative intervention with the cooperation of the executive that will be proactive enough to prevent attacks and killings of our people rather than observing 1 minute silence and then regretting what has happened. I thank you, Mr. President, for this opportunity.
Thank you, distinguished Senator Abamuro. The distinguished Senator Air Vice Marshal Napoleon Valley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am Napoleon Bali, Senator representing Plateau South. I strongly agree with the motion raised by my ranking Senator Sani Musa and seconded by my senior brother. So this is how I want this 10th Senate to go about it. During prayers, I will still make some contributions. Honestly, I'm talking from experience. Yes, minerals. I served as an air officer commanding the Special Operation Command in the entire northwestern states. Initially in 2018, 2019, they were thinking it was these minerals in Zamfara that were causing all these problems that threatened the 2019 elections. Now, we sat down with our colleagues then. We came up with some solutions, which, like I've always said, some of these things are classified. Now, the only thing I want this 10th Senate, after speaking last week, is no matter how many minutes silence, the number of seminars we do, what I just want this Senate, maybe the leadership, to collaborate with Mr. President is, if you check, I don't want to mention names, but you know, where there are potential conflicts are going on now, every country is mobilizing troops. Anywhere there is insecurity, even during our civil war, both sides were mobilizing troops. You've declared here, this Senate, I was not there, that terror is already taking a war against the state of Nigeria. Why are we not mobilizing troops? So I'm just begging Mr. President to talk with the President and Commander-in-Chief. All we need to do is that the regular training of the Nigerian Army in depot in Zaria, the Air Force ground personnel in Kaduna, naval personnel in Port Harcourt, I am repeating, it is not enough. What I want is that if there are timelines, just for the Senate to say, okay, the federal government, just tell us what you want, and let the Ministry of Defense and Inspector General of Police, by next week, let them call what we call establishment order committee meeting. And then we'll go ahead. If we can afford to train additional, maybe have like 2 or 3 additional army depots, but we should be able to guide the presidency that, look, we want you to produce either 100 or 200 soldiers within the next 1 year. Police, 300 within the next 1 year. If we don't have troops on ground, honestly, we will talk till any time. These people are just laughing at us because you can only hold the ground when you have the personnel. That is why even where conflicts are going on now, despite projection of air power, technology, I'm sure you'll be reading in the, you've been watching in the televisions, they are mobilizing ground troops. I know precisely what I've seen this morning. A country is already mobilizing like 400 reservists. I agree we don't have reservists, but we should be able to train at least about 200 soldiers within 1 year. This is the only time we can dominate the entire 6 geopolitical zones. This terror we are talking about, honestly, they are afraid of death. But they use death to terrorize people because they know the strength is not there. And some of the equipment that we need, like the night vision goggles, these are things you can pick even from the shelf, where it will now give your own troops or police advantage in the night, because most of them are active, very active in the night, even if they carry out operations in the daytime. This is where I contribute, sir. During prayers, I will add additional prayer.
Thank you. The distinguished colleagues, one observation. The distinguished Senator Sani Musa, your motion is not the same as on the other paper. And then secondly, the prayers are different. So we will ignore what is on the other paper as being the fact that it was withdrawn. And then we'll go ahead with the one that you have distributed. So let's look into the prayers. Direct the joint committees on Army, Air Force, Police, and solid minerals to investigate the complexities of the security personnel and agencies that were supposed to protect and enforce security in the affected areas, but are now harboring and protecting the criminals with a view to finding the truth or otherwise of such accusations and proper possible actions to avert future reoccurrence. Any amendment to this prayer? None. Okay, those who are in support of prayer 1 say aye. Aye. Those who are against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 2. Call on the Chief of Defense Staff, the Chief of Army Staff, and the Inspector General of Police to immediately ensure the deployment of troops and equipment to the affected territories to defend the unarmed populace and bring back security to the affected communities. Those who are in support of this prayer too say aye. Aye. Those who are against say nay. The ayes have it. 3. Direct the Ministry of Solid Minerals Development to suspend all mining licenses and commence review of such permits with a view to registering and creating a database of artisanal mineral miners, establishing mineral buying centers, outlets, and registering of all small-scale mining operators, as this will go a long way to formalizing artisanal miners' activities and reducing acts that tend to sponsor criminality. Amendment, right?
Thank you very much, sir. My name is Mohamed Ogoshonao. I represent Nasarawa South. Sir, I will request that prayer 3 be expunged. Reason being that this motion is a very good motion. But in order to solve a problem, we should not create another problem. There are processes for which licenses are obtained. Registers, all buying centers, some artisanal miners have associations and have been duly registered. And if licenses are suspended now, the whole ministry will close down because of litigations. So there are reviews already going on. Maybe when this motion is being written, the person that wrote the motion didn't know about the review, but those that are already in practice are aware that there are reviews going on this section. So if even the minister had suggested that licenses be suspended, and he was told that when licenses are suspended, there will be plurality of litigations that will close down the ministry. And this is the next oil for Nigeria. If that is closed because of litigation now, we will be creating further problems, because all those that are practicing under this now will have nothing to do, and they will join the bandits that we are trying to solve problems for. So I want to thank Senator Musa for coming up with this beautiful this
Senator Adara Modu, you want to support the amendment of prayer 3 that it should be expunged? Okay, is there this seconder to the motion moved by Senator Onaiwo? Yes, Senator Abamoro.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, my name is Abamoro. I represent the good people of the Benue South Senatorial District. I want to support this motion that this prayer 3 be expunged, in the sense that with this beautiful motion that we have here, going to distract ourselves with the suspension of mining licenses and the rest of them and facing litigations may derail us from the main point of providing security for our people. I so second, Mr. President.
The distinguished Senator Onaiwo has moved, and it is seconded by Senator Abamoro, that prayer 3 be deleted in view of the fact that it may cause more confusion in the near future and may close down the Ministry of Solid Minerals. Those who are in support of the expungement of this prayer 3 say aye, and those again say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 4, urge the Chief of Army Staff and the Inspector General of Police to, as a matter of urgency, direct for the establishment of an Army Infantry Division in the state, permanent military and police command bases, respectively at the axis adjoining Zamfara State, Shiroro, and Rafai local government areas, respectively, and to redesign the modus operandi of the military operations within the affected areas. I think the most important thing here is to have a military establishment of a military presence, a permanent military presence. Well, I don't know the difference between battalion and division, because I'm not there. Do they have a battalion now? Do they have a battalion now?
Your Excellency, a battalion is small.
I'm saying you want military presence. You want a permanent military presence. So, and you are suggesting it should be division. I'm saying you need to know the difference between division, you need to know the difference between battalion, you need to know the difference between brigade. I would have said that we should stop at establishing a permanent military presence in the affected region. No, you don't understand what I'm saying. You are trying to use sledgehammer to kill an ant. We shouldn't argue. What you want is security of the area. And you want a permanent military presence there. Am I right? So suggesting division or brigade or a battalion or infantry or whatever to the armed forces, they will know what to do. It's not for you to suggest because you are not an expert in that area. So I think somebody should amend this prayer. Distinguished Senator Ome. Prayer 4.
Thank you, Mr. President. In prayer 4, should now read, urge the Chief of Army Staff and, direct the military. Prayer 4, urge the Chief of Army Staff. There are two prayers here, Mr. President. Prayer 4 and prayer 4, there are two. All the Chief of Army Staff and Inspector General of Police, to, as a matter of urgency, direct the establishment of military presence in the area, permanent military presence in Niger State, to be able to combat the rising spread of insecurity in that axis.
Thank you. Is there any seconder? The Leader of the Senate. You want to second that amendment?
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I so second.
Thank you, the Leader. The Senator Obe has amended prayer 4 that we should urge the security agencies, particularly Chief of Army Staff and the Inspector General of Police, to ensure permanent military establishment in the affected areas to curb the rising cases of militancy and insurgency. And it has been supported by the Leader of the Senate. Those in support of the amendment of prayer 4 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. I see another prayer 4. So prayer 5 will be to direct the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and NEMA to, as a matter of national emergency, provide relief materials and medical support to the victims affected by this banditry. Those in support of prayer 5 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 6. Call on the Senate to observe a minute silence for all the victims of these callous acts of criminality. Those in support of prayer 6 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. We may now rise for a 1 minute silence. May the souls of all those who have died due to banditry in Shidoro, Rafi, Muja, local governments, and other parts of Niger State and Nigeria rest in perfect peace. Leader of the Senate, let me thank, Let me thank the mover of that motion, the distinguished Senator Sani Musa, for bringing the plight of the people of the axis of Niger State to the notice of Nigerians, and pray that when the resolutions are communicated to the relevant authorities, they will act proactively to prevent further losses of lives and bring about peaceful settlement for the people, thereby sustaining their means of livelihood. Thank you for this, and I also thank my colleagues for their contributions. Leader of the Senate. the various committees that are supposed to meet today, procurement, state and local governments, land, housing and urban development, industries, judiciary, science and technology, Niger Delta, the ad hoc committee on abuse of firearms by officials of the Nigerian Customs Services. Then, of course, all of them will be meeting immediately after this plenary. The other committees that will meet tomorrow will be agricultural production services and rural development, employment, labor and productivity, and so I understand that the Niger Delta Ministry was an error, that it should have been NDDC committee. So they will meet after this plenary. So then I will also want to add that by 4 o'clock, we will be receiving the American ambassador to Nigeria and his delegation in the Senate President's Conference room. And so any distinguished senator that may wish to attend is highly welcome. So in the absence of any other thing on the other paper, we would like to skip tomorrow for inauguration of our committees and then adjourn to Thursday. Will the Senate accept this view? Those who are in support say aye. Those against say nay. Okay, so this Senate is hereby adjourned to Thursday, the 12th day of October. Thursday, the 12th day of October at the normal time at 11 a.m. prompt. Tomorrow will be for inauguration of committees. And Senate Leader, you can read out the time for inauguration of committees very quickly.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the inauguration will be for 12 noon tomorrow, and details will be communicated. Thank you.
The inauguration of the standing committees of the Senate for effective commencement of oversight functions to be from 12 noon tomorrow, and the office of the Senate Leader shall communicate the time to each of the committees. According to ABO, the Senate has been adjourned to 11 o'clock on Thursday, the 12th day of October 2023.